If you do not make the unconscious conscious, it will guide your life and you will call it fate. Welcome to episode number, I think it's 8, yes, right? Yeah. 8 of the School of Athens. We're going to be doing something a bit different today. We're going to actually be doing
a little Q&A.
Yeah, a little Q&A. I'll be asking Andro a couple of questions regarding, the financial side of things. And Andro
I'll be asking Quinton about health and optimization and everything around that. So, we can just hop into it. We have anything else to discuss.
Yeah.
We can just start off with the first one. So I'm just going to read it. How do I get enough quality sleep while working late nights? Because, a lot of entrepreneurs, especially when you're starting out, you have to pull, 16-hour days. So when you are working so hard, how do you ensure you get quality sleep?
I think sleep is one of the core pillars of and the foundation of your health, and sleep is like the main part of recovery as well. A lot of people I hear say, especially in the motivational speaking scene, they'll be like, oh, don't sleep 8 hours then you're sleeping a third of your life away, and just work as hard as you can. And I don't necessarily agree with that. I think there's some merit to it. I think sometimes you have to be able to, focus on one thing and be extremely obsessive in a certain domain of your life. And that's fair enough. But by increasing the quality of your sleep, your entire life will increase in quality. I truly believe that. And you can just go and look at, try and get 5-6 hours of sleep every single day for 2 weeks and see how you feel compared to 7-8, And so I think there is value in trying to curate your life where you can do that. I don't think it's always, necessarily realistic to be able to do that, especially if you're a parent and you've got a lot of things to do. But to curate yourself in a way where the amount of quality sleep you're getting is as maximum as it can be. You know what I mean? There's no point in getting 8 hours of sleep if the quality of your deep sleep and REM sleep is 20 minutes. And so I think that's where a lot of people might go wrong, is they see okay, they are sleeping 7 or 8, but it still feels exactly like how they feel when they're sleeping 5 or 6. And it's not necessarily because of the length you are sleeping, but the quality of the sleep while you are sleeping. And so to accurately, I almost want to say improve that, I would say there's 2 big levers you can pull here, okay? First of all, the biggest lever you can probably pull is to actually be tired at night. If you are living a sedentary life where you're not doing anything, you're not using your body, you're not exercising, you're not moving around, you're not thinking a lot, your body is literally just chilling, playing video games, you're not going to be tired. And so
I always said, you have to deserve your sleep. You have to work hard. Why are you sleeping if you're not tired? And you should be working throughout the day, going to the gym, putting your body through stress, your mind through stress, and then you can obviously enjoy your sleep as well.
100%. And I think it all comes down to, especially back in the day, let's say if I'm looking back at my grade 10 self, my 16-year-old self, when I was playing a lot of video games and stuff like that, being a degenerate, I would definitely say my sleep was impacted a lot by that, because first of all, a lot of blue light and artificial light was hitting my eyes, especially late at night when the sun was setting and the sun wasn't up anymore. So my body is thinking the sun is still up because of the light information I'm getting in. And I'm also just sitting down. I'm not doing anything. So when I'm going to bed, my body, number one, thinks the sun is still up. So I'm not releasing any melatonin. My eyes are so... it's how should it even dry, it feels terrible. You didn't really eat well that day, and also you didn't exercise, you didn't move around, so your body still has actually quite there's no need to rest. So that's one thing. That's the biggest lever you can pull, is actually use your body to a point where it actually needs rest. And then secondly, I would say is, and I just touched on it now, is one of the biggest diets in your entire life and how your body operates is according to sort of the light cycle. Your body has a lot of systems that is directly, operates on a clock system. And the clock system is directly is directly influenced by light information. So let's take, for example, your circadian rhythm. Okay, it works on a 24-hour cycle, and it is directly, it is regulated by the light information. So let's say, for example, the sun is up. Then your body is seeing that light in your eyes, and then your body thinks, okay, the sun is up, so we need to do all the things that our body needs to do and secrete to, during the day. But if the sun sets, your eyes is not supposed to get any light information in. And so with all the blue light and the artificial light that we are getting in the evening with our phone, our laptop, stuff like that, our body actually thinks the sun is still up. And therefore, our body doesn't actually release any of the rest of the things that we need, like when the sun sets. For example, like melatonin doesn't get released. And melatonin is what is the hormone that your body creates to make you feel sleepy. And so that's why I wear these glasses, for example, and why I try and avoid blue light. So while you're working late at night, I would definitely suggest do things like, I know Andro and I do that. Our phone turns like orange or red, and our laptop as well. As soon as the sun
there's
sets.
actually a setting. You can see it's like orange right now. And then when I click it 3 times, it goes white again.
Yeah.
So it just blocks all the blue light from actually entering your eyes.
This might sound crazy, but like try it for yourself. I was also thinking like, oh, these guys wearing all these like orange glasses are crazy. But I promise you, like there is science behind this. Like go and look at Dr. Andrew Huberman's opinion on light information and circadian rhythm. Like that is one of his like core fundamentals and his beliefs when it comes to health. He speaks about that a lot. So I definitely recommend regulate your light information. So when the sun comes up first thing in the morning, get some information in your eyes to tell your body, stop producing melatonin, dude. We want to wake up. Okay, we want to be in the sun now. We want to start moving. And so when your body is in the dark, as soon as you wake up, like your body is gonna be lazy and doesn't know it. But as soon as the light hits your face, your body's like, okay, time to wake up. Let's move. And then once again, when the sun sets, try and avoid it. I would recommend doing that, and then obviously the other one is actually move your body to a point where you're actually tired.
That's good.
Yeah,
I mean that's like a masterclass in of its own.
Yeah,
like you don't really need more than that.
That's literally that. And later you can get into like supplements.
That's like the 90-10.
I promise you, those are 2 biggest levers you can pull. Okay, so I think let's do 1-1. Let me ask you a question. Yeah. How do I choose a profitable niche that aligns with my passions and expertise? Wow, This is a good question. Yeah.
All right, so there's a lot of avenues where this can go off. So how do you choose a niche? So there's essentially like 2 different avenues you can go off. It's one, your expertise. So where do you have already some knowledge in? Like let's say your father is like works in a mechanic shop. You know a lot more than cars than you think you do. Like I know absolutely nothing. I just like the R8. It just looks nice and it's fast. Like a lot of people are like the engine and like, see, I don't even know the what do you call it, the slang. So you know a lot more than you think when you're in a specific niche. You already have expertise in that field. Another one is just where you have general interest in, or like you want to learn more of it. Like another thing you can look at is your YouTube watch history. It's like, maybe I just watch business stuff, so maybe I should go into that avenue, right? Maybe you watch a lot of, golf videos. So just go into the golf niche. Like there's a lot of rich guys who maybe need some help, even with, what do you call it when you carry his bag, the caddy? Yeah. Like you can get paid quite a lot to do that. So maybe that's even an avenue. You can learn from them as well. So, that's how you would choose a niche. Like don't overcomplicate it too much. A lot of people, they just like to, procrastinate on it because they don't want to do the work. They don't want to actually sit down and, take action in that direction. So they slow down the action taking process or actually deciding because they don't want to do work. All right. So don't overthink it too much. Like there's 2 things that's really important. The best niche, like the absolute best one. Here's your, here's the number 1 thing you need to know.
Ooh, let's go,
the best niche is the one you stick to for 2 years. That's the best one. Like there's no specific one that's good. Obviously you want to, take into account the supply and demand of the marketplace. Like don't go into, newspapers that are like, declining by 25% every single year. You want to go in a growing market, which is, online education is going to be massive. It's growing by like 20% a year. So by naturally just being in that niche, you are growing 20% every single year. So that's already a plus. Supply and demand. And the worst niche you can go into, like the absolute worst one, is the one you start today. Because, you have zero knowledge on that field. It's like you have surface level knowledge on it. So the best niche is the one you can stick to because then you build that deep knowledge. You learn how they think, how they talk, what they think about at night when they sleep. Like then you can then craft your marketing message around that. So because with the community we're building, our niche is essentially, like beginners looking to optimize their health and, make some money online, right? Like beginner entrepreneurs, or maybe who's already got some money, just looking to optimize their health, all right? So the reason our marketing message is so potent is because our clients, right, were our former selves. So we are just speaking to our former selves. So that's why we can dial in the marketing message so good. We know what you dream about at night. We know what you think about when you wake up. You want to make money, you want to sign a client. Oh, I need to follow up with that guy. Oh, the sales call didn't go that well. Like, we know exactly what you're thinking. That's why the marketing message is so good. And then the other part was, so profitable niche, just, choose one that's already growing. That's pretty self-explanatory. And then the next one that aligns with my passion. So I don't, like, when you're starting out, you don't really have the luxury of, going with your passions. Like, you just need to get some money in the door. And usually when you're starting out, it's not something you're passionate about. Like, one of my one-on-one clients, is very good guitar. He's very good at playing the guitar. So, he's already got 7-8 years in that field. So then he can go into his passion. But you have to go through that stage, especially at the beginning when you don't know anything. You can't really align with your passions, because usually, it's not that profitable, which obviously you want to make money at the start. So you want to go into a niche where there are very rich people. So you want to target very rich people so you can charge higher ticket, which then you only need 5 clients to essentially live the life of your dreams. So that's like my 2 cents on choosing a niche and all of that.
I mean, I think that's very good. I think, what would you say, like, taking it back, let's get a bit more personal. Like, when you started, how did you sort of analyze how you're going to get into the specific niche that you went into?
So the first one I chose was the gym niche, because like I was already going to the gym for 4 or 5 years.
So that was you analyzing your watch later, trying to figure out what you like, and then sort of
like. Okay, yes. And then it's just what I had interest in, and then that was basically it. Like, I didn't have any expertise in like the ads field. I was running ads for gyms in like the UK. That wasn't as successful. I didn't actually sign any clients. But yeah, that was how I chose my niche there. And then I hopped over to the content niche because I had a call with one of the people in Iman's team called Emmanuel. I hopped on a call with him and I was like, yo, like, I can 100% make this work. I know that, but like, I don't like it as much. So he said, no, drop this gym thing and go all in on the content agency, because I already had this experience working with Iman. Like, it's just the ultimate social proof. I can use it in my marketing message. Like, I just have this experience as well. I also like that niche. So then I just hopped on to the next one. Obviously at the start, it wasn't as good because I had to learn the lingo and all that stuff. But as I went on, 2 years now, like, I understand the niche pretty well. So yeah.
I think a good way, I mean, there's obviously a million takes on this and how to do it. Like, there's a lot of people that are rich, like in the concrete business. Like, do you really think they are passionate about concrete? Probably not. They're
passionate about making money.
So I think there's a lot of avenues to look at that, at it. Just analyzing my life, I think I actually completely did the different sort of way of doing it. I basically just jumped into the thing that I felt I was the most passionate about, that I can make the most money in. And that naturally wasn't a lot of money because I really enjoyed doing filmmaking stuff. And so I actually became like a real estate photographer and videographer. I was doing that for about 2 years or so. I really enjoyed it, but there was no way for me to grow in that, industry. And but as soon as I got out of matric, like, I just jumped into that, ignorant to my future and how I'm gonna make it happen. I was making just enough money to sort of reinvest that in different ventures where I can make more money in. Trying to do. I was doing everything. Like, I mean, I think that is a very similar journey that everyone goes through in the online space. They have tried so many things. Like, I was in Forex, I was in Bitcoin, I was trying to do drop shipping and like completely stopped that after a week because I was like, I'm gonna lose all my money. And there was just so many avenues that I tried. With the last thing that obviously stick was what we're doing right now. And I think also the luxury that, and I think that's something that you can earn with time, because I don't necessarily think it's a good idea to just jump into your passion, try and make that work, because it's probably not the avenue that you're going to make the most money in. Because a very important part that Andro mentioned now was not market research, but like, you need to try and figure out, like, is this that you want to do? Is this going to make money?
Especially at the start, because that's like, what you're optimizing for.
Exactly. And so that's not what I was focusing on. I was just focusing on my passion. But I luckily came to a place where, now I'm fully focusing on my passion, and this avenue is going to make us a lot of money, like 100%. And I think that when you can curate your life where you are doing a job that you are passionate about and that you are naturally good in, that you're talented in, you are going to destroy the market, okay, and your competition. Why? Because you're passionate about it, so you tend to work longer hours without any friction or less friction because you enjoy doing it. Like my watch later is just about biohacking house stuff, so even when I'm not working, I'm doing that because it's play to me, and therefore it's still, it's work. And if you're naturally good at it, you tend to get more output from your input, so you tend to work longer hours and get better output. And that's just the best way to look at it. Like Andro is extremely passionate about building businesses, like he's going to destroy the competition because all that he does, like even if he wants to play and take off on a Saturday, like he's watching Charlie Morgan and Alex Hormozy. And so, I mean, that is probably the best way you can do it. Yeah.
So if you're listening to this podcast, you probably know I like Naval a lot. I got a quote from him that says, you retire. So the only way to retire, or if you want to, is by saving enough money, right? Or becoming a monk, or by finding work that feels like play to you. So we essentially already retired, like because we're doing what we would have done without the money anyway.
Yeah,
so
I think it's an absolute privilege to be able to curate your life in a way that you get to play every single day. Because I think that's what life is all about. Okay, I'm 23. Okay, what do I know? Probably not a lot. But I do think, like, Andro and I actually spoke about this when we were in Bali. Okay, so we were like, what is the best route to follow for ultimate purpose? We were on the beach, and we came to sort of a argument where, you got the monk and you got the guy who worked through all the friction, everything to get to financial success, and realized that is not what's going to bring you happiness, and then he becomes present in that moment, where the monk just decided to not even go through the friction and just in the moment just decided, money's not going to buy me happiness. I'm just going to be present in this moment, and then just be happy and ultimately choose just to be here and just experience this moment. Like, what is the best way to go through that? And I think we came to a conclusion that it's the balance between those two. And
I think the balance is where your work is your play.
Yeah, that 100%.
Yeah,
because I think truly, and but we say this a lot. Like the most difficult thing to do is to have balance. Like that is 100% what it is.
Yeah. So I think we mentioned how to curate your environment. That ties well into the next question, which is how to curate an environment that's focused on optimizing your health. Ooh. You obviously have a lot of protocols you follow, a lot of different tactics. So
I think what is good, so just to optimize your health, like I'm optimizing my health for a better business output, like that, and ultimately just for a deeper sense of purpose and meaning. Because the better my health is, and the better my skin looks, or how more jacked I am, or like I don't get sick anymore, like all these things tie into a better, deeper sense, like meaning of life. And my business output is much better. I'm more confident. I look better. I'm less brain fog, so I articulate my speech better. And some things that I do that I don't think people talk a lot about is, for example, a lot of people, and especially myself, like I focus on clean water and clean food, okay? But we forget about the very important pillar that, is clean air, fresh air. And so I have plants all over my room, my bathroom, in the house. I try and curate a area that has sort of the cleanest, freshest air. And you do that by getting some plants in your room. Like, it just feels amazing. Like, walk in a room with plants in and you will feel amazing. I promise you, it will change. It will change the entire vibe of your room. So get some plants. I would say that's a cool thing to do. And probably the biggest lever you can pull. Secondly, I would also say a humidifier helps a lot. So especially if you have a very dry room, or if you're in an area where the sun is just out all the time, it doesn't rain a lot, a humidifier will help a lot to just, it will ease your skin as well. It will just give some more moisture in the air. But especially, so when I was in Bali, we had to put the aircon and what do you call a fan in English? A wire. We had to put the fan or the wire on every single day because it was so hot. Okay. And the nature of those things is to dry out the air. There's no moisture in the air. And so what happens then is the dry air is circulating in the room, you're breathing it in, breathing it out. And what's happening is you're actually drying out your throat and your nose. And your body needs to compensate, and then it creates saliva. Okay. And so when you wake up, you're wondering like, why is my nose always blocked? Why is my throat always sore? And it's because the air is so dry and it's blowing on your face from the wire that it's drying out your face. And you're actually creating a lot of saliva and slime or whatever. And some people might feel like they're just always sick. Well, that might just be it. So get a humidifier. It's going to be good on your skin and it's going to be better for your health, I would say. The plants, I actually have, so you guys can see this light here. I use it for obviously for like production reasons, but I also use it as a red lightsaver for when I walk in the night. So I just previously spoke about the light light information. So when I go to the bathroom at night or when I go to the kitchen or whatever, I don't switch on any blue lights. I walk around with a stick of light with a red light on and like lights my way. So I'm obviously obsessive with it, but that's what I do. I got some red light sort of LEDs on my room. So whenever the sun sets, I pop all the red lights on. What else? Oh, I absolutely love doing, I got like a lot of like candles and stuff like, okay, you guys can't see it in the picture now, but I got a lot of like incense and candles and stuff like that around my room in the area that I operate and work in. I think it's very important to create a environment that sort of motivates you to work, and that you enjoy being in. So for me, if I know, like if I'm like, that's sort of like a ritual before I work. Like I like to polish my table, then I like to light my like incense or whatever. And then I know like we getting in now, like we're going to start working. That's what I enjoy. That's sort of like a ritual I do. And I actually learned that by like Iman. Like 3 years ago, I was like, Iman is doing incense, I'm going to do incense,
Yeah. Was it Agency Navigator?
Yeah, it was in the Agency Navigator that we purchased. Yeah, we actually did this, the
How
course.
to get to 6 figures, like the incense sticks.
And I was like, okay, I need to get the red light and do incense. And like since then, it actually still sticked. I would say those are like the biggest levers you can pull. But especially the plants, like that's going to help a lot. I would definitely suggest doing
I
that.
definitely need to implement some plants in my bedroom.
Yeah.
That's something that's lacking at the moment. I need some CO2.
Some CO2.
Next question. You got it there on your...
Yeah. Let me just get to the chat quickly. So, all right. Question number 2 for Andrew. What steps should I take to scale my business once I've signed my first few clients?
Okay. So when you're starting out your business, like you have to essentially put on all that. Like you have to do the client acquisition. Like I'm just doing it from start to finish. You have to create your offer. You have to do the client acquisition, which is essentially taking a stranger to a customer. So that involves, booking appointments, following up with them, booking them on your calendar, hopping on the sales call, closing them as a client, delivering the service, making sure they're happy. Like you have to do all of that because you can't outsource something that you don't know, right? So you have to essentially become not a master, but like you have to understand, every single aspect of the business as best as possible. So you can then obviously outsource that. So, the question is, what steps should I take to scale my business once I've signed the first few clients? So that's very important. At the start, you obviously want to do everything yourself. But once you've signed some, 1 or 2 clients, you can start outsourcing the client acquisition side or primarily the appointment booking. So that involves, lead sourcing, which takes a lot of time, actually getting the leads, the emails or the DMs and stuff like that, the people you're reaching out to. And then you can just outsource that, right? And then when it comes to following up, you can just outsource your entire, like when I was starting, or I still do, like 90%, or I would say like 70% of my bookings come from cold email, like the other 30% ads. We recently started that. So, I have outsourced the lead sourcing, the email system, my entire email system. I just handle my main replies, right? So that's all I do with the email. So usually that would take me, when I was starting out, like 3-4 hours a day, right? And then I actually had to do, record like the looms as well, which would take like another hour. And then I would do the sales calls, which maybe I had like 3 a day. So that's another hour and a half. And then I had to do follow-ups and send the emails at the end of the day as well, which would take like another 3 hours, including follow-ups. So outsource that, which you can get more time so you can do more sales calls. Like I know my parents told me as well, like, why are you spending all this money, outsourcing your work? Why are you not saving that? Like, why are you not like, if I was saving all that money and doing everything myself, I would have still been at the exact same stage because you need to outsource yourself from the business. Like you should be focused on the main revenue driving activities, which in my business is sales. So that's all I do is sales. I need to get as good as possible in that because that's the last lever someone pulls where they become a client. All right. And then also from the start, I outsourced the service delivery because I had already a feeling of that. Obviously worked with Iman, got the content strategy, did my own reels, all of that. So I just outsourced that. And then, so I can just focus on the things that matter the most. And that is obviously sales. And obviously client retention and all that's very important. But the main revenue driving activity is sales. So that's where you want to get to. And obviously, if you just, want to scale it even more, like you want to outsource yourself from the sales. So you are just the CEO. You're just, checking everything. So that's ultimately what a business is. You're like not in the day-to-day activities. Yeah.
So basically just identifying the sort of the side of the business that only you can basically do and what you're best at, and then outsourcing everything else.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily best at. It's like just the main revenue driving activities.
The most important part.
Yeah, because the more you do something, the better you get. So, when I was starting out, I was terrible at sales, but because I'm doing like 5, 6 every single day, like you just get better. Like when I was starting, it was terrible. Like it sucked completely because I was trash. Like I was so bad, but now I'm pretty good. So now it's actually fun. So that's with any skill really. Like even with math, if you're really good at math, it's actually kind of fun. But yeah, can't relate.
Yeah, I agree. Okay, good.
Alrighty, so next question is, what daily routines or rituals can help me stay disciplined and motivated?
Ooh.
So daily routines and rituals. Morning, night, maybe evening.
Yeah, I would say to not really focus too much on motivation, and I think discipline is also the byproduct of I would say it is just to curate all of your inputs as much as possible, and to curate it in such a way that it takes you to a direct path to the ideal outcome. That's literally all you can do. And I think there's a lot of ways to do that. I would say the biggest levers you can pull, once again, is making sure that all the information that you are getting aligns with the ideal version of yourself and the way the way you want to go. And I would definitely say, and I really recommend doing this, okay? This is something that I live by. I know Andro does this as well. In the morning, like when you wake up, a lot of people, like there's like a million daily routines and protocols and meditation and cold plunges and stuff like that. Like we spoke on a call in the community yesterday as well, the founding members, like what's the best morning routine? Like what do we do? What do other people do? Like we're discussing this. And I came to a conclusion, and I told everyone, like the best morning routine is the one that you can consistently stay with that increases the output. Like that's all it is. Like some people like doing cold plunges. Some people like meditating literally for like half an hour before they work. Like there's a lot of protocols that you can use. I, however, do believe that it is important to somewhere in your morning routine become present and to try and practice a form of gratitude, whether that is through prayer, meditation. Some people get extremely present in a cold plunge, okay? Fair enough, like that is also a way to do it. But what I really enjoy, and that is also in accordance with the sort of the paradigm that I operate out of, the morning sunlight as soon as I wake up, I like to go for a 10-minute walk, okay? As soon as I wake up, after I drank my morning potion, I walk to the dam, usually just with the potion, like the electrolyte drink and stuff. I'll go sit at the dam. It'll be a 10-minute walk, so my body's already moving a bit. I'm getting light information of the sun, and I'm trying to be as present as possible there, okay? So I am thinking of, I'm trying to be grateful. I'm just literally being there in that moment, trying to be present. And then like the last couple of minutes, I'll sort of work through what I need to do during the day. And this is what I want to get to. The meditation that I use is, I try and think back at a time where I didn't have the things I currently have, or especially like looking back at school. Let's say it was a Wednesday and you had a double period science and math and stuff like this. Like you wake up and you're like, oh, shit, like it's meth today. And like, it's just like everything is worse. Like the traffic is just worse. You don't hear any birds. Like everyone is just it's just colder. Everything is just worse. But then you wake up the next week on a Wednesday and it's vacation. And you wake up and it's just like you can almost hear like violins in the background. Like you hear the birds chirping and it's just everything is good. There's no traffic. I don't know.
Everyone's
it just
smiling.
Yeah, it just everything is better, and it's not like anything really changes. It might be the byproduct of just a lack of responsibility now, but even then, like I try and I really think it's more important to focus on that what is helpful than that what is said to be true. So I try and be a delusional optimist. Okay, so taking the sort of the lack of responsibility aside, by meditating on that feeling of being like, okay, like what can I do today, and how can I feel today to create a environment or a feeling of vacation, operating out of a sense of abundance. That's actually what it is. And I think, to come back to the original question, I think discipline is so much easier if you can operate out of the foundation of abundance. And I also think it comes back to attaching to a deeper sense of meaning and self, like why are you doing what you're doing? So especially in times where I don't really want to do something like hit the gym or stuff like that, I really just try and connect with the deeper meaning of why I'm doing it. And there's an entire book about this. A very good author, Simon Sinek, wrote a book, Start with Why. Like there must be a reason why you're doing what you're doing. And I think once again, it comes back to that self-center worksheet. You need to do something like that. Figure out you are here, and you want to be here. Like, what does the ideal version of yourself look like? Why do you want to be there? And when you ask those questions, you get to realize why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. Like I think it's quite mental and it's psychotic to be at like 21 running a successful online business. Like there's something that had to happen to you to be able to do what we're doing right. Like you are not a normal person. And especially if you look at all these young, successful guys, like there's something that happened. Like Alex Hormozy, like he's got a chip on his shoulder. Like we spoke about this at the dinner with Quinton, about the chip on the shoulder thing. Of like, you think that all these people have something that you don't, but they actually, what did you say? You actually,
like most successful people. Well, before I get into that, like you can bear, you as a Y can bear almost anyhow.
Ooh,
is that from Nietzsche? It's a quote from Nietzsche.
Seneca, I think. Or probably Socrates. It's like everything comes to Socrates.
But most successful people don't have something that you lack. Right, you think like, oh, this guy must have something that I like. He has some more IQ, or he has like something that you don't. But they lack something that you have, which is an off switch, right? So they lack that. They don't switch off at all. It's just like constantly going, constantly on. And we've tested like a lot of morning routines as well. And my best morning routine is where I wake up and check my phone. Because when I try to relax, I can't because I'm constantly thinking, oh, like something needs I need to check all the messages, check my Slack, check the email, check my banking app, check my Stripe. I check all of this stuff, and then I can get a pulse on my bank. When you check your banking or your app, or your banking, basically, every single day you get a pulse on your transactions. So it's actually a very good habit to get into. But once that's handled, I'm super relaxed. So that's something that's helped me a ton.
Yeah. I would 100% agree with that, okay? So even if you come back to the light information, it's quite beneficial to hit your face first thing in the morning with blue light, okay? It's better to do it with the sun. But like Andro said as well, and I realized this when he told me this when we were in Bali, it's like I used to not try and be on my phone first thing in the morning, but then I realized like while I try and be mindful and grateful and stuff, like I'm thinking like, but is there email that I missed? Or maybe there's something that I have to hop on like real quick. Like I'm struggling to be in the present moment if my brain is keep on like projecting myself into the future, And so I try and just like Andro said, like as soon as I wake up, for the first 10, 15 minutes, I'm quickly on my phone, checking my Instagram DMs, like going through my emails, doing everything that needs to be finished like right now. And then I know what I need to do within the next hour or two. And then I can just transition into my morning routine. But yeah, I think the best morning routine is the one that you can stick to and follow. And I think there's merit in trying different things because that's the only thing. Like I'm just 4 years ahead. Like I have tried all of the morning routines. There was a time where I was cold plunging in the swimming pool, and then I went and I meditated, and I had an entire doc where I was like checking off every single day that I was doing everything, and then I was reading 10 minutes, and there's so many things that you can do. That just took too much mental space for me. So I just focus on the biggest levers that I need to pull, and that is wake up, light information, gratefulness, because I really think that if you are depressed or if you want to have more purpose in life, start by being more grateful. That sounds so cliche, but oh my god, it sort of, how should I say, it grounds you in a place of abundance. And I promise you, your life will change if you operate out of a place of abundance. Zero lack, everything happens for a reason. There's more than enough for me out there. Like, there's billionaires out there, okay, that is literally tapping into streams of money. And we think that there's a lack of money. Like, there's no such thing as a lack of money, okay?
There's $3 trillion that's flowing through the markets daily. $3 trillion. And you can't make 0.0001%, which is like $10,000.
Oh, come on.
Like, it's like, it's not even a question.
Yeah.
Like, it's zero.
Yeah.
It's literally zero.
Yeah.
So that's where you want to get at. Obviously, it takes some time. And also, like, the best niche is the one you stick to for 2 years.
Yeah.
The best diet is the one you stick to for 2 years. The best gym routine is the one you stick to for 2 years. The best morning routine is the one you stick to for 2 years. So it all comes down to just sticking to it.
Yeah. That's when it comes back to the discipline or the consistency part of it. Is there's your current self, your ideal self. In between these two, there's friction. Whatever routine that gets you to sort of bear the friction more consistently, that's what you need to do. And let's say, for example, you want to do cold plunge because you heard that Iman is doing cold plunges and like you need to do this. But you actually, the cold plunging is leading you into a place where you're like getting less output because you hate doing cold plunge. You're sitting there for half an hour and you're actually just wasting 20 minutes before like getting into the cold plunge. Sometimes I would go outside and I'll just be like, I'm just staring at the pool. I'm like, why am I like questioning life? My anxiety is shooting through the roof. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Then it's diminishing returns. So yeah, I would say that's sort of the answer on that. Staring at the cold plunge. Am I really going to do this now? All right. Next question. What is the best way to put myself out there so people can take me up on my offer?
Yeah, good question. So there's only 4 ways that you can put yourself out there, and that's what you can do as a business owner. There are other 4 ways as well, which is, like referrals, and which is not out of your control, but that's stuff other people do, like agencies, referrals, affiliates, that kind of thing. But the only 4 things that you can do as a business owner to get yourself out there so people can take you up on your offer, right? It's number 1 is cold outreach, right? So actually reaching out to people via DMs or emails. Like, that's all you really, like, I'm boiling it down to fundamental principles. That's all you can do is reach out to people cold. So that's essentially people who don't know you at all. They haven't seen your face. They don't know who you are, right? So you reach out to them DMs or emails, all right? And you get their DMs obviously through Instagram. You know how to do that. You're on Instagram all the time. And then emails, you can just search. There's lots of leads, scraping tools, all that kind of stuff. And then warm outreach. So that's essentially reaching out to people who know you. So your Instagram followers, your YouTube subscribers, maybe your email list or your contact list. Like, those are all people who know you, who've given permission to you to contact them. They haven't really given you permission, but like, they know you as a friend or whatever. The next one is posting content, exactly what we're doing right now. It's, YouTube, it's TikTok, it's Instagram Reels, it's posts. So just putting yourself out there through content. And the next one, which is one you can use when you're a bit more established, and that is running paid ads. So essentially paying for an audience who, is aligned with your interests. So obviously when you are starting out, you can't necessarily do paid ads. Which I'm going to break it down exactly what you can do right now. So when you're starting out, you can post content because it's free. Like, it just takes some time, but it's the highest leverage activity you can do in any business. I know Charlie Morgan, like, one of his YouTube videos makes him $200,000. So one video, it takes like 30 minutes, right? 30 minutes of your time, and it brings out $300,000 in revenue. All right. So it's extremely high leverage activity, but it just takes 3 years to actually become like successful in it. All right. So when you want to make money now, like, you can't obviously should start posting content, but it will take like 3 years to actually start producing some results. All right. But extremely high leverage when it does work. And then ads, obviously you don't have money to spend on ads. So that's out of the question. So all you can do is send emails and DMs to people who don't know you. That's all you can do. So when you want to make a lot of money, send your proposal to a lot of people who would be interested in that, and just do it a lot. Like most people deeply underestimate how much volume it takes to become successful. Like you're probably like sending 5 emails. What if it takes like 1,000, 2,000, 3,000? So, you should just do way more. That's all it comes down to.
I think a good question that some people might find valuable is, what was your split in the beginning between like the actual sort of output that you were putting out business-wise and actually making the content? Because like you obviously knew when you were going to do the content, like this is like a 3-4 year play.
Yeah.
So it was probably difficult to try and stick to a constant posting and creating content regime if you knew like, I'm making no money through this and I could just focus this on outreach and business and systems and stuff. Sort of how much would you say volume were you doing every week? Like shorts?
So shorts I was doing one a day. I was extremely disciplined. Like all I would do is work. Like I wouldn't do anything else. So I would do short a day. That got me to like 1,000 subs. So I had some momentum, but I was posting, fitness content. So the audience wasn't as receptive to my new content. But I was making like $1,000 a month working like some freelance job. And I made a video on like, I think you can see it as well. Yeah. It's like my 20K a month protocol, monk mode routine. And I was making like $1,000 a month in that video. So I knew from the start I was going to make a lot of money. So that's why I knew posting content would be extremely valuable. So I did like one a week, long form. And then the shorts, I did one a day, reel one a day. That got me a lot of momentum, which I can now ride on, right? But most of the day, like 80%, I would just source leads, send emails, send DMs, and, hop on sales calls, record the looms, do the emails, follow up on them. Just constantly work basically. Yeah. Especially at the start. It's a lot of, you have to generate a lot of momentum, which we are now using basically. Yeah. We're still working hard. Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I think that's good.
So just to go, completely not off topic, but what we were talking about. So what are the best exercises to build muscle and stay fit, with a busy schedule? Yeah. So, when you are running a business and you spending a lot of time, like what can you do?
Well, once again, it comes down to the best exercise that you can do to build muscle is the one that you do most often and stick to, especially with a busy schedule. Like probably like when you're looking at young entrepreneurs, especially like in the beginning of your business, the main North Star is probably just to get a successful business going and building revenue. Like you're probably not prioritizing your health and your like building a physique more than the business. Obviously not, you're not a bodybuilder. So I would definitely suggest, and these are, once again, I'm talking about levers a lot, but I mean, that's just what it is. Like the two biggest levers you can pull, it's 80-20, it's 100% what it is first of all, to track whatever you are exercising. Okay, so there's different ways to get to like different exercises or gym routines, push pull legs, the Mark Manson split. Some people like doing like weighted stretching, mobility stuff. Like I'm busy doing that now. I think you can build substantial amount of muscle with really any program as long as you track your progress and do what do you call that, overload?
Progressive overload.
Progressive overload. As long as you do that, that's the biggest thing. The biggest mistake that I made is I didn't track my progressive overload. So I was like, I'm just going to train till failure every single time. What do you mean? Like, I'm just going to do that. But the thing is, after 3 months of like training, like let's say you do the same thing, you start on let's say you do chest and back. You start with a bench, flat bench, and you go do some barbell rows, and then you do incline after that. Like you get so like into the process of like systemized, then like when you're loading the bench, like I do 80 for 12, like that's just what I do. And then later on, if you don't really track your stuff, like 80 for 12 might feel like your absolute most and failure. But when you look back, like you've actually been like pushing that weight for like 3-4 months. Like that is so stupid. If you were just tracking it and every week trying to do one more rep or whatever, you would be in such a better position 2-3 years down the line. And I think it all just comes down to like, we just don't realize what our actual true failure position is. So I would just say, if you're going to pull the biggest lever, doesn't really matter what exercise you're doing. I think it's good to focus on compound movements. So for chest, I would say like a type of bench press is good. Squats for legs, barbell row is also good for back, but it also comes out like some people don't like doing that. Some people just prefer doing a machine row, or some people like doing pull-ups or whatever. I would just say progressive overload. That is the biggest lever you can pull. And secondly, I would say that obviously the diet you're following, but making sure that the type of foods you're eating is very nourishing to the body and is high protein. That's the biggest thing you can do. So just doing those two things, focusing on a high protein diet and making sure it's good quality nutritional whole foods, and then obviously progressive overload. And then, it doesn't really matter anything else. As long as you're just consistent with it, like you are going to build like a lot of muscle mass over a span of 3-4 years. It just takes time.
Yeah. And what are your thoughts on, I don't know if you know Nick Walker. He's like the guy with veins on his...
what's his name? He's got
mutant.
The mutant.
Yeah. So he doesn't track any of his workouts.
Yeah.
And he's massive.
Yeah.
Like, well, he takes steroids.
Yeah.
But what's your thoughts on that?
I mean, I think it's once again I'm also at a point now where I really just try and focus on mind-muscle connection, but I still track everything just because I know the amount of progress I lost just because I didn't do it in the beginning. And the only thing is like, he's obviously a professional. He does that for a living. Like, his form is amazing and immaculate, and he knows his body. Like, he's been doing it for so long, and he knows what the failure, like, that is what, if you do something every single day, like, you're not going to question Tiger Woods not, using that, okay, I don't know how many people are into golf, but a certain tool that beginners need to use. Like, you need to understand, like, what is a calorie? That's why you need to do calorie tracking in the beginning. Like, you need to understand what it is. And so I think focusing on progressive overload, that is very crucial for 99% of people, because a lot of people just don't know what their failure actually is. They've never really pushed them to true failure. And so especially for you guys listening that's not a bodybuilder, that's focusing on your building your business and wanting to do the bare minimum to get the most sort of like output, just take all the thinking away. You like systems and tracking stuff and putting on spreadsheets. Like, literally track your stuff. You did bench press last week, you did it 80 for 12. This week, try and load 85 on and then start that cycle again. And what I like to do is let's say, for example, I hit 3 sets of whatever weight I'm doing for 12 reps. I like to then, the next time I exercise, if I did it for 3 sets for 12 reps, I like to add about 5 kgs or whatever, like 5% of the weight. And then I start by trying to do 3 sets of 8 again, then 3 sets of 9, 3 sets of 10, until I get to 3 sets of 12 again, and I'll add another 5%. So let's say, for example, I'm doing weighted pull-ups. Let's say I just start with pull-ups. If I can do 3 sets of 12 reps of pull-ups directly after each other and with good form, then I'll add 5 kgs of weight or 10 kgs of weight. And I'll start with 3 sets of 8, and then 3 sets of 9. And then when I get 3 sets of 12, then I'll add more weight. That's what I like doing. And there's so many other bodybuilders like Seba, like all these guys, they obviously do progressive overload. So there's some merit to that. And I think as soon as I started doing that, I just found that I start pushing myself harder. So if you are so in tune with your body that you can feel and 100% know when you are pushing to failure, fair enough, you don't need it, okay? But for 90% of us out there, 99% of us out there that is not as in tune with our body, which obviously takes time, just track it. Like, I think it's so easy to do it. I use my notepad. Like, I don't even use it crazy. Like, I can actually show you guys. Like, I don't even use it like a software or whatever. Like, I just got a notes. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see that, but the title is weight. And then I got barbell hyperextension, and then I put 20 kgs for 12. And then I just do that with all my weights. Do you do progressive overload? Or like track it?
Unconsciously, but I don't track it.
Oh, okay.
I definitely need to get into it though.
Yeah.
But I do a lot of like different exercises.
That is terrible. So because I do change like every 3 months. I'm gonna stick to my program now for 6 months though. Like, I think because once again I want to focus on progressive overload. But previously, like, I know Andro and I were like every 3-4 months we swapped. Like we jumped from what do you call it, chest and back in that
like
thing.
The
then we
went
to they went to Mark Mensa. Then we went back because I think it's good to shock the muscle, or like Arnold also spoke a lot about that. But the problem with that is if you're changing too much, like, you can't focus on progressive overload. And I believe more progressive overload than what I believe in shocking the muscle. And you can shock the muscle by just exercising it, like swapping the exercise you do during the day,
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say that is sort of the best way to approach that. All right. How do I balance client acquisition with delivering exceptional service to my clients?
Yeah, so we briefly touched on that at the beginning. So how do you balance it? At the start, there's no real balance. Like, you kind of have to do everything. It's like I mentioned, you have to source the leads. You have to maybe record the looms in the emails if you want to, do it personalized, which I would suggest, because you're not sending, as much. like my appointment booking rate, I'm getting super into details right now, but I know some people like that. So when you go into your appointment booking rate, mine is close to like 3-4%. So for every 100 emails I send, I only get 3 bookings. All right, so that's like extremely good. Well, not like it's great. It's like it's very, very decent. All right, so. And that's 3%. And people think, oh, that's terrible. No. That's actually very good. So that also goes to show how much volume you should send. And with 3 bookings, you're probably not going to get a client even. So with, obviously I am into the game quite a lot now. Like I've been doing it a while. But when I was starting out, I had to send 2,347 emails to sign my first client. So, and that's one client. So that is not even $10,000 a month. So times that by 4, that's close to 10,000 emails to get to $10,000 a month. All right. So that's like quite a good metric actually. So for every 1,000 emails you send, you'll probably make around $1,000. All right. So, if you want to, your goal should never be to make $10,000 a month. Yeah. That should never be your goal. Your goal should be to send 10,000 emails. So if you're not doing that, like what are you doing? Like you say you want to get to 10K a month, but like, are you sending 10,000 emails? Are you on your way to send 10,000 emails? And people might not like this message because, it's very confronting and they know the truth. They know they should do this, but they would rather work on their website. They would rather work on their landing page. They would rather, watch this YouTube video on client acquisition when they know they should just send 10,000 emails. But it's obviously hard work. So that's why they don't want to do it. But that's why it's so valuable to actually accomplish it because it's difficult. And how to balance that. So as I mentioned, I outsourced it from the start. So, I know there's people better at it than me. And also over time, they get better because they do it every single day. So I can just focus on the main leverage activities, which is obviously sales. But obviously you want to get people who are good at it. Like you don't want to just hire anyone. You obviously want to train them a little bit, especially like when I outsourced my client acquisition and the email side, like I just showed them the ropes and now they're better at it than me. Like when someone in the team asks me a question about emails, I'm like, I don't know, like, ask my email team. So over time they just get better obviously. And it's the same with sales. Like if someone were to hop on one of my sales calls, they wouldn't know what to do. But like I obviously done it so long, that's why I've, gotten pretty good at it. So, there's no balance at the start though. Yeah. All right, let's say I'm a busy entrepreneur, I've made some money, I'm traveling the world. Like, how do you actually, stay consistent, with your health goals and your lifestyle goals when traveling or during busy periods?
I mean, we actually experienced this quite a lot now recently. We had the privilege to travel a bit now the past 3 months. We were in 3 different countries, which is actually amazing. And we might be going to Dubai now in middle of September. And I would say the protocols I used, the protocols I should have used, and the protocols I'm going to use now is sort of the following, okay? I would say when you're traveling, you don't have the luxury of knowing the restaurants there. You don't really know the quality of the food. You don't know what type of foods. Like, for example, when we were in Bali and Thailand, there was no red meat. And the meat that you did get was extremely expensive, almost to a point where it didn't really make sense to just purchase it. Like, we were just eating chicken then. And so I would say it makes sense to, you obviously already know like what you're prioritizing. I prioritize red meat, good quality, raw dairy, eggs, sourdough, fruit, and then some vegetables like carrots I like eating. And so trying to have sort of that structure going into a new country, that makes sense. Okay, so know what type of foods you like eating, okay, and what you know is good, and then try and only source those foods. And if you can't source those foods, for example, like we couldn't get red meat, so I just swapped that out for another healthy like chicken. And then I would say is if you know what type of foods and what structure you are operating out of, you can just like swap out and stuff like different puzzle pieces for like a big puzzle, like I think that's a very good thing. Like you don't need to count your calories, you just need to understand the fundamentals of that so you can see the entire structure of how nutrition works. And then it's like a puzzle. It's like, what's the best way to build a puzzle? Some people saw the corner pieces. Some people do the middle. Like, it doesn't really matter as long as you finish the puzzle. It doesn't really matter how you get there. So I think it's important to understand the entire structure of it. And then secondly, I would say, while you're on the airplane, we fasted when we went to Greece. We did like a 2-day fast. Or no, not a 2-day. How long was that? Was that a 48-hour or 24-hour fast?
Well, like a 36 something.
Oh, 36. I can't remember, but we fasted because, just because like the time zones and eating like in high altitude, and because we flew, I think the first plane, like I think we were like on Ethiopian Airlines or something, like the
No.
food quality for the plane food is just, it's not good. Okay. So it's a lot of preservatives and stuff like that. I wouldn't suggest eating that food. So either pack in a glass container, or in a, what do you call it, like a flask, or that keeps your coffee warm. Do some sort of like a stew in there or something. I would suggest doing something like that. Okay, then you got food on the plane, or put in some beef jerky, some biltong in your bag. Like I traveled with 4 kilograms of vacuum packed biltong beef jerky when I went to Thailand, and I took that to Bali as well. Just know that they might stop you at customs, like they did with me, with like entire police questioning where I got my visa and stuff, like crazy. But I would suggest maybe traveling like that. And then when you actually go out to restaurants, I would say it makes sense to prioritize, and I think it's just for in general, build your diet and the food you're eating around protein. So try and get your protein in first, and then you can fill that with other like foods, like fruit and vegetables. So I prioritize my protein, and then I try and add fruits and stuff with that, and then I'll sort of add some healthy fats. So New in Bali, a good example is the first meal we always ate 110 grams of protein meal. Okay, and that was loaded with protein. We had some avo in there, and then I knew like most of my calories and macros is sorted, because protein is usually the most difficult thing to find or to get, especially in countries that you don't know, where the restaurants or the
Actually,
foods
I have
are.
a photo of the meal.
Just look
we
at
got.
that. Come on, we can there we go.
Yeah.
So for those of you that is just listening to this on audio, that's basically two poached eggs, about probably 60 grams of sourdough. We got a half an avo, probably 80 grams of avo, 2 slices of bacon, some like hash brown type of thing.
And
then
what if I get
4
some seed oils in? Is like that?
No. That is
that
pasture raised. No, I'm
Olive
joking.
oil.
No, I mean seed oils is a crazy subject. I've done a lot of research on it now recently, just because I wanted to get behind this entire seed oil thing. I was a firm believer that seed oils is the cause of all health problems.
Cause of all sin, yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't think it's that simple. I listened to an 8-hour podcast with Bioline and Dr. Andro Uberman, okay? Or basically just 2 different 4-hour podcasts. But they were touching on a lot of controversial topics like seed oils, sweetness, stuff like that. And that really like changed my entire perspective on my approach to health, just because it's not necessarily the seed oils that is causing harm, okay? It's more just the amount of calories that you are taking in. It all just comes down to that. Like if you are eating, and these are quality studies that they were doing, okay? It's they basically took a group of people that were getting most of their foods, all of their foods had like seed oils in, and the other people, like they just didn't get any seed oils in. And then they just ate the same amount of calories, and the health effects were exactly the same. And then when they took the group that ate more calories than what their maintenance is, both of the groups were as unhealthy as each other. So it all comes down to just not eating in excess. So if you're getting a bit of seed oils in, you're not going to die. Do I recommend eating seed oils? Obviously not. I think it's crazy. I stay away from hyper processed foods, just in general, because I also think like studies and scientific studies, like they can only be that good, because they are only testing and analyzing the information. And I mean, when you're doing a research, how long can you really keep a person that wants to be a part of the test in a certain diet, like eating like a certain way? Like these people aren't going to eat like that for 2 years. Like the subjects they are using is only eating like that for 30 to 90 days. How long do you need to see the negative effects on some foods? Some things need 3, 4, 5 years. Like, for example, like the studies that's done with red meat, like people that eat red meat and people don't. And then they say, oh, red meat is the main cause of heart disease and cancer or whatever. It's like, how did you measure that? You need to measure that over 30, 40 years. So it is difficult to just base your entire opinion on the scientific research. I think it's a very good measurement to use, and you should be aware of that and don't be ignorant to it, because obviously these people devote their lives to try and find an answer here. But I also think it is important to be aware like science is also just a religion. Okay, so use your common sense. Okay, I try and stay away from seed oils just because it's so highly processed and it's high in omega-6 fatty acids. Okay, omega-6 fatty acids, if your ratio isn't correct, it causes inflammation. Okay, so you need to balance your omega-3 and your omega-6 fatty acid ratio 1-to-1. It's currently in America 1-to-20. Just because there's more foods that has seed oils in than the omega-3s, like fish oils and stuff like that. So it's prone to inflammation. If your ratio is going to be 1-to-1, you're going to be inflamed everywhere, okay? And guess where the omega-6 is set, okay? It's in your fat cells and it's like sitting in your skin. So when you're in the sun and you're burning, like that's not the sun that's terrible for you. That's just your inflammation and the omega-6, like that I think they call it like it oxidates or whatever. But like when we're in the sun, we don't burn, you know, like if we are like for a long time not in the sun and you're obviously like going to be chilling in the sun for like 5 hours, sure, it's going to have an effect on you. But because our diet is extremely good fats in, we're getting our omega-3s in, we're getting our like eating our carrots and stuff like that, we don't burn in the sun. The sun is an amazing tool for your health. So getting back to the main question, how do I stay consistent with my health goals when traveling during a busy period? I would say number one, biggest lever is figure out what structure of foods you are eating mostly and try and incorporate those foods while you're traveling and then base it around protein. Okay, so try and focus on getting your protein in first. Then I would say foods like fruits and what do you call it? Your greens, fruits and vegetables is very satiating and you can eat a lot of volume of it. And I would definitely say like fibery foods is extremely important for your health. So if you just focus on those things and making sure that your protein is dialed in, you'll be fine if you need to go to a restaurant and eat like a little dessert or something like that. But I would say 100% focus on your protein and at least try and do a bit of research before you go to a restaurant to try and figure out what you're going to eat on the list or whatever. And then while you're traveling on the plane and stuff like that, either bring food with that you made at home, or once again, get like a high protein source that's going to satiate you, like beef jerky or biltong, or dried fruits is good. And then avoid plastic bottles. Okay, just buy glass bottle water. I would say that's a good way to look at it. Yeah. All right. And so last question for Andro: what mindset shifts helped you most when starting out?
So, obviously, I think the self-transcendent worksheet, it helped a ton, especially like I always say at the start, because like we are, only 2 years in the game now. So, especially when you're starting out, you have to change so many things about your life. Like it's just, you don't maybe want to hear it, but it's completely skewed, like everything. So you have no momentum going for you. You don't even know what to do. You can't even think straight. Your health is probably bad with the diet you're eating. Like there's just so many things that are against you and holding you back. It's so difficult to get it going. But once you have the momentum and once you've got like, with the self-transcendent worksheet, you know who you need to become. And every single day you are aware of that. You focus on that. And when you're doing like maybe destructive habits, you know in the back of your mind, like I need to become this guy. Like I can't be doing this. And then over time, it just, you just start to, what do you call it? You just start to leave it. It just starts to disappear from your life. All right. And it's not easy, but like, that's obviously part of the journey. And a lot of people who just do self-improvement just to improve, like that is complete BS, right? You're just like, why are you improving? Like what are you doing? Like it's just like you telling an Uber, yo, I want to ride fast. And he's like, yo, where are you going? He's like, no, I just want to go fast. That's what most people are doing in entrepreneurship and self-improvement. They're just improving for no reason. So the biggest thing is just to have like a North Star goal. That's the biggest thing ever, because then then you can use everything that's going for you and you can, direct it to that one path. But if you're just improving, just to improve, like, you can have some superficial aspects, like, you want a car, that's all good. But if you're doing it for selfish reasons, you're most likely to self-sabotage because a part of you doesn't like you. That's why you're improving in the first place, right? Good. So you want to kind of, you want to kill this current version of yourself because that isn't serving you to get to your goal. So you kind of have to become a new person, right? And then, to become that new person, you obviously have to kill your current self. And you have to think of your current self that is not capable of achieving the goal, because if you were, you would have already achieved the goal, right? So in order to become that new version of yourself, you have to literally kill your current version, and you have to think of your current version as like an organism. It's literally alive and breathing and like, alive. It's an organism. So when you want to kill it, like it's going to fight back, right? So you have to think of it as like in a boxing match, right? So you are there with your current self, right? It's trying to survive. Literally, it's trying to survive. And then you have your future self also in the same boxing match, right? So obviously the one who wins, obviously you become that person, right? And like you're literally killing himself in that boxing match. So think of it, there's no ref, you're just out there to kill him, right? That's what you're trying to do. But you have to realize like that your current self, like it's using a survival mechanism. It's trying to survive. Like if you want to kill something, it's gonna fight back. So you have to, when your current self fights back with like, pulling you down, bad habits and, all the things that's like pulling you back, you should have been doing, maybe you're drinking a bit too much, like, you should have been doing that. Maybe you're consuming a lot of content, like you shouldn't be doing that. You should be working. And the only thing your future self can do to win is to do the work. Like that's all. That's all you can do. So what we mentioned at the beginning is like all you can do is send emails. Like it sounds so stupid, but I'm boiling it down to first principles. That's all you can do, right? So that's the only way to beat your current self, right? So your current self's gonna fight back with like, oh no, do this, it's fine, we're comfortable, like all of that procrastination. It's like, oh, I'm not feeling good enough, I need accountability partner, all that stuff. Like that's all resistance towards you doing the work. All right. But also when it comes to the mindset shift, like I was pretty confident I was going to do it from the absolute start. So I don't think I'm the best person to really ask that. Like it's like asking Mike Thurston how to build a chest. It's like he's already got good genetics for that. Like you have to ask the guy who had a terrible chest, when it comes to going to the gym, and he's now got like massive pecs. That's the guy you should ask, because he's just completely changed the game. But Mike Thurston's already got good genetics, so he just did a few push-ups and now he's got this massive pecs. Like you shouldn't really ask him because he doesn't know. Who you should ask is the person who's was completely down in the dumps. Like he had no idea he's going to make this happen. Complete failure. Doesn't know what he's going to do. He didn't know he's going to make this happen, and then made it happen. So that's a person, but like I always knew from the start. So pretty difficult to answer.
I mean,
that one.
I can answer that for him because I'm a bit more on the other side. Like he was just straight up from the get-go extremely delusional. Like he was like, oh no, I'm going to make like 100%. And I'm sitting there like, bro, like we broke. What do you mean? Like this is crazy.
Yeah, so like I literally made a YouTube video where I was making $1,000 a month, right? I know clients. I was doing like freelance work here and there, making like, all right money. And I made a video. I was so low confident in that video, but I knew in my mind, like I knew. But I wasn't really confident in the way I was presenting myself on YouTube. But that video, I was like, oh, here's how I'm going to make 20K a month. Like I was making $1,000. Like I literally made a video and showed it to everyone. Like, here's how I'm going to make 20K a month. So that's a bit of delusional.
I think, and I see that a lot in all these successful guys, like especially looking at and spending time with, especially, I go back a lot to the Greece, the Greece trip that we did, just because it was extremely. It was one of the moments in my life that shifted a lot of things for me to, set myself up for success, because I was surrounded by a lot of other delusional thinkers, that was same age as me, just making like $100,000 US a month, like crazy numbers, And so I think the biggest thing that you can do is, and I'm a bit more on the other side, like it takes me time to really like, I'm more like, I sort of need to see a bit of the results for me to really believe that I can actually make it happen. I think that's also fine. You just need to figure out how you are going to make this work for you, okay? And what worked for me was just to surround myself with other like-minded delusional thinkers, okay? Because, and I speak like about this a lot. Your reality is created by the collective beliefs of the people around you. And so if you are in a place where your current environment is reinforcing limiting beliefs you are having, you are putting yourself up for failure. Like it's going to be difficult for you to succeed. But if you change that environment by curating the inputs that's going to reinforce the ideal version of yourself's, beliefs, you're putting yourself up for success. Okay. So I still have those, beliefs of like, am I even good enough for this? Like, is this going to work? Like that doesn't go away for me, but it's extremely less powerful when I'm surrounded by people that are extremely delusional, like Andro, or like the people that were with in Greece. So that's why a lot of people say, surround yourself with, you are the sixth person, of whatever, like that
network-
surrounding yourself
network
thing.
is your
Yeah.
net worth,
Your
I think.
network is your net worth. And so I truly believe that is the most powerful thing that you can do in your life, no matter what you are doing, is get a community of people that are on the same journey as you are. And I longed for something like that because I didn't have that in the beginning. And that's why we decided to build the number one community in South Africa. And that's what we're currently building, is to create a environment where like-minded delusional optimists can come together, where we can bathe in a sense of hope and inspiration, because it's quite daunting and difficult to, the industry that we are going in, like making money online, it's completely down a different road to the normal person. And so speaking about these topics and these ideas with people that have no idea what you are doing, it's just going to completely reinforce your limiting beliefs, and it's going to increase the friction. And all you want to do is your ideal self and the person you are currently, you just want to decrease the friction. And the limiting beliefs of the people around you is increasing the friction. So get in an environment and in a community, surround yourself with people that is increasing your
likelihood of success. Because
That's
if
what
you
it is.
surround yourself with the right people, the least resistant path is the one of winning.
That is a good way to put
it's
it,
like
yeah.
winning is inevitable then, because
Yeah.
if everyone is winning around you, how can you
Yeah.
lose?
Yeah.
How it's impossible to lose. You're gonna be like the odd one out. You're gonna be the black swan. Like you're gonna be that guy that just loses and doesn't.
Yeah.
No, that's not gonna happen, because if everyone is winning around you and like you just talk with these people every single
Yeah.
day, and it's just effortless. It becomes so much more effortless.
Yeah.
And that's the thing we want to cultivate.
100%. And just to get back on also the previous question, like I think this is a good quote that sort of sums everything up. You will never be your highest. I'm reading it from my cupboard because I got it on a page there. You will never be your highest dream. You'll be the lowest version of yourself that you can tolerate. And I think that's a very good way to look at it. Okay. So coming back to the self-transcendent worksheet, like Andro and I believe in this thing. So like, and even like all the courses we've done, like Charlie Morgan speaks about this. He got it from Sam Ovens. Like Iman Gatsi probably also got it from Sam Ovens, but Iman Gatsi had a different version of it. All these guys, like if they are doing it, like it obviously works. And you just need to, it's like going back to the Uber analogy. It's like you're getting to the Uber, you ask you, where do you want to go? And you tell him, take me home.
Take me fast.
Take me home and take me fast. It's like, okay, where is home, bro? Like you need to be specific. Like a lot of people's like, okay, they want to get rich. They want to get jacked. They want to be healthy. They want to build they want to make money online. It's like, okay, that's like saying, take me home. It's like, okay, it makes sense. But like, where is home? You need to be specific with it. And that's what the self-transcendent worksheet is you are literally forging. It's another quote. It's what, I'm reading it again from the cupboard. A man cannot remake himself without suffering, for he's both the marble and the sculptor. So it's like, you need to mold and sculpt this version of yourself that is the embodiment of whatever you want to achieve, okay? I'm a degenerate gamer by heart, okay? But I had to mold this self that doesn't do those things. I love gaming. What do you mean? Like, that's the best thing ever. But I know like that's ignorant bliss, over like 10 years, I want to have a solid family and I want to be successful. I want to have self-respect for myself. So there's trade-offs coming with gaming every single day. And so I had to mold this person that you guys are seeing right now. This doesn't come easy. I would much rather want to play games, but I know, and it's impossible for this version of myself to choose that over my purposeful suffering that I chose through the business I'm doing right now. And so that's what the self-transcendent worksheet allows you to do, is to actually get specific with it. If I had to read my self-transcendent worksheet I did in January and the goals I had, I literally achieved every single goal on that worksheet. As of now, it's August, and it was crazy goals that I set up in January that I didn't believe was possible. And yet, because I was reading it to myself the whole time, indulging in those delusional goals and beliefs or whatever, I essentially created this,
Yeah. And I think just to round off, like, you can't remake yourself without suffering, because that's the quote, like you can't remake yourself without suffering, because you're the marble, like you're the actual marble and the sculptor. So you have to sculpt yourself. That's why it's painful. Like I mentioned with the current and the future self, like that is painful. That's like, it's obviously, it should be painful. Like if you're doing something that's not hard, it's probably not the right thing you're doing. It's like when you should be doing the work and sending those emails and you're building on a website, Like, you know what you should be doing. Like, that's in the back of your mind. So you need to go where there's the most pain. That's usually where the pain lies. There's your mission, right?
Andro and I joke a lot about this, but we whenever something happens with our we just choose the path of most resistance, you know, because that is where the most growth will lie. So on the end of the day, it's terrible in the moment, but long term, you're going to look back and be like, wow, I'm so grateful I went through that. So yeah, but I think that's a good place to end it off. Yeah, thank you for joining us. Have a look at our free community that we are busy building and curating. It's not out yet, but we are planning on launching it in November. I think that's probably the timeline we have right now. But we're all working with 15 exclusive members, the founding members that we have allowed to join and help us build the best community in South Africa. Andro and I are so excited for this. We've been thinking and planning and visualizing and building this thing for probably the past year. And so for it to actually be happening right now is so exciting. And I would highly recommend get on the waiting list so long so that when it launches, you guys will be the first people to be in.
Yeah. So just go to school.com/Athens. You'll see the group here. Just click join group. So we won't accept you yet because obviously we're still building it out. We're still curating it. We just want it to be the absolute best. So when it goes live here around November, obviously it's subject to change, but close to there. We only just accept everyone. It's going to be absolutely free. So you can just go through it, get value, maybe sign your first few clients, get in the best possible shape, get all of the things you need. And then, I'd love to see it.
We'll obviously just link it down below in the comments. So you can have a look at there. All right, cool.
Cheers.
Boys, see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.